What is up, guys? So I'm back for another video, and this one is kind of in sync with the one that I released last week about the Apollo that I got and I unboxed here on this channel. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the pros, the maybe cons if you may call them. I find that it absolutely has no cons, but either way, I am going to talk a little bit about it because there's a few things that I am certain that a few of you may not know, and I mean it's something that's pretty I'd say it's pretty important to understand when you're getting this interface, because I had this problem and I mean it's already solved, but either way I'm gonna talk a little bit about it. So I'm gonna play the intro and I'm gonna see you guys over there. What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Franco Torres and I'm a guitar player and guitar instructor from Puerto Rico, and I kind of teach every day, all day. And when I'm not, I'm doing these videos, or I'm working with my band, or gigging when the world is normal. And yeah, so this video, as you may have already seen in the intro bit, is going to be talking a little bit about the Apollo Twin USB version. Just kind of reviewing my experience with it for the past 4 or 5 days that I've been using it. I got it last Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, or Thursday. I'm not sure. I'm not remembering it well. I have to say though, huge thanks to my sales rep over at Sweetwater, Kyle. I do not know how to say your last name, but thank you so much. I'm gonna link his stuff down below because he got me this in under 1 day. Like I ordered it 1 day and I had everything before 1 p.m. by the next day. I think that he's absolutely awesome. I thank you very much for this. I mean, everything arrived perfectly and it's working really great. So now with that aside, I'm gonna be talking a little bit about my experience. The unboxing, as you may have already seen in the other video, if you haven't, I'm gonna link it up above. To me, it was a really cool experience because I mean, it kind of felt like unboxing that iPhone for the first time, or that really cool phone that you wanted for for a good time. You know how modern phones have these really cool boxes and whatnot. Well, it's sort of that experience when you're opening this interface. It's really cool. And then once you get your hands on it and you connect everything. If you don't know what it has, I'm gonna put the picture here so you can see it. When you start connecting stuff, it's pretty intuitive. I mean, there's no way to get everything wrong. That said, it does have a few features that are pretty cool. Like for example, it has the monitor out. Then it also has 2 other line outs if you have other monitor pairs or some other kind of setup that you want to throw this out to. Maybe for reamping or some stuff like that. That's awesome to have. It does have 2 XLR inputs in the back, which I mean you can also plug in instrument cables, but it does have a dedicated instrument cable on the front, which is awesome. I use it quite a lot for my guitars. And then if you don't know what it has I mean a master volume that you can actually control everything with. You have your button to change between monitor and earphones or headphones. It has a preamp which you can use to change from channel 1 to channel 2. Channel 1 is actually the one in the back, and also the instrument cable. By the way, just saying, they're not separate, they're just the same one channel, or the same channel 1. And then we have 5 buttons which are different and have different stuff to do. I am not gonna go really in depth with them because I'm not sure what a few of them are. I do know that one is for the 48 volts. Then we have one that's kind of like a curve. If you want to sort of mess with the EQ from the interface, you can do that. And then it has a few other buttons which you can do a few other things. You can change it from mic to instrument also with the first button. It has a few things. So now let's talk about what caught me by surprise. Once you download it and set it up, you have to kind of go to their website and connect the Apollo. And once you're there, it's pretty straightforward. You're gonna find that there's a link to download some stuff. Then you start downloading the actual software or the drivers. And then once you do, the computer is gonna automatically say that you have this Apollo, so you can continue on to the registration. So I had a kind of a bit of a problem that I'm sure that maybe others or other Mac users, when using the Thunderbolt version, may not have that problem, but at least I on Windows did have that issue. I kind of had to restart and install the drivers like 2 times or 3 to be able to have the computer, or at least the website, kind of recognize that I had this interface connected. So that's sort of just a little hiccup, just something that you may experience when doing this. At least it happened to me. Then once you get to that, it's pretty straightforward. You just register the Apollo, they tell you what to do and whatnot, so you just install it, and then it's pretty straightforward from there. However, I did run into one problem, which is what I'm going to talk about. It's sort of, it's not really a problem, it's more of a, I didn't know that I had to do it that way. So I'm going to mention it just, you know, in case anyone out there plans on getting it or gets it and has the same problem. So I started recording on Pro Tools, which is the DAW that I use, and I actually found that what I was recording itself over what I was playing. And I know it may sound confusing, so I'm gonna explain what was going on. So for example, I had the track 1 or channel 1, I recorded some guitars, and it would actually kind of record the click in the other track, even though I don't have any inputs in it, or I didn't have any outputs that were wired to the channel 1 or anything. I mean, I do it pretty standard the way I've been doing it for 2.5 years, but I was getting that problem. Then when I played something on channel 2, I was re-recording the guitars that I had recorded with the click with the other click track, and then with whatever instrument, if it was bass or if it was another guitar, I was recording that over in that same track. So it started to kind of just spiral in circles inside of the computer and just re-recording the same things that I had already recorded, as if I was monitoring my signal into the input of the guitar that I was recording. And I mean, I was pretty confused, to say the least. I was kind of frustrated because I said, you know, how is this happening? That has never happened to me before. And a few of my friends, which I'm completely thankful to you guys, like 3 or 4 friends jumped in to help me. They, you know, work with Pro Tools and have used the Apollo as well. And here's when it gets interesting. So I actually had to go to the console, the online or virtual console of the Apollo Twin, which is part of the drivers that you do install. So you have to go in there and actually mute every channel that's in there, because if you don't, the interface, or rather the DAW, is gonna kind of act or feel as if the console is also going inside, or the console is kind of taking whatever you're recording with click and all, like all of the output that should go from the guitar to your monitors. It's gonna take it as an input or sort of leak it somehow, somewhere. So you have to mute it all and then go to the DAW, and then it's, you know, gonna work just fine. So that's kind of the hiccup that I did have. It took me a few hours and I was quite frustrated, to say the least. But I mean, after that, it just stopped doing that, and now it works fine. So you have to make sure to monitor from your DAW and just, you know, mute everything in the virtual console, which I'm gonna put a picture here somewhere so you guys can see sort of what it looks like. If you don't, however, apparently there is a way to, you know, monitor and do everything from the console, because that's the way that I do it in the studio with the other guys. Again, is that are wizards with the software and whatnot, so they have it set up a different way, which would be the way that I was intending to use it at first, which was using the console to make sure to monitor everything from there, and then have everything, you know, record from Pro Tools and not monitor or do anything from Pro Tools. But a friend of mine, Hector, was telling me that way, if you were gonna do it that way, you have to sidetrack a few things, and you have to do a little bit of a wiring or routing inside of the DAW and the console to make it work like that. So that kind of makes a lot of sense as to why we use it like that in the studio, because in the studio there's a bunch of, you know, crazy cool gear, and there's a bunch of wires, and there's a bunch of different routings, both analog and digitally. It's just some crazy stuff. So for what I do, my friends told me that, you know, it's really not worth it to go through all of that trouble, so I just didn't. And I mean, I heard them, and I just muted everything in the console and then just, you know, record directly into Pro Tools. And it's more of a user error rather than a hardware error or whatnot. It's been working freaking amazing. I'm not gonna understate how much I'm actually loving it, and I'm actually loving how it sounds. everything sounds freaking amazing. Like the way that the guitar goes into the interface itself, I just can't explain how good it sounds. I'm gonna put a little bit of a playthrough or whatnot, just play into the console just so you guys can hear it. I think it's amazing. I think it's pretty cool how well it manages and how well it takes everything that you put into it. I feel like it's a lot more clearer and a lot more open and just wider overall than the Focusrite Scarlett, which is the one that I was using before. The preamps are freaking amazing. They're great. It pushes the monitors way much harder. Everything's gonna sound a lot better. Honestly, kind of feels like I have a new set of speakers now because everything sounds so much better. And I mean, it's freaking amazing. I'm completely in love with how it sounds, how the inputs go through it, how the outputs just, I mean, it pushes it so much. I'm not kidding when I say that I get like 4 times the volume out of it than I did from the Focusrite, which I mean, I'm not gonna use it because honestly I'm not, but do get some sort of higher volumes than I did from the Focusrite, which is good for certain things that are softer and for certain things that you may want to watch or may want to do recording on Pro Tools or any DAW of choice. And I mean, it's amazing. I'm honestly freaking in love with it. It's a great interface. Of course, the price is kind of steep, at least to the Windows users. It's a little bit cheaper than the version for Mac, which is probably like $200 more. But I mean, it is what it is. I think there's another version like a Twin X for the Mac OS. I mean, I haven't seen any difference, at least that I know of. At least in the studio, what we use is like the big brother, the big one. Not actually the Apollo. We use a universal audio, just like a rack mount thing. And I mean, this sounds pretty close to that. Like honestly, to me and to the guys over there, we feel like I can actually record my parts here and not have to tweak it that much in the studio. Like for example, when we did band's single, which if you haven't heard, it's out now, called Madness by Quit the Great. The guitar solo was actually recorded in the Focusrite 2i2, which I mean, it recorded well and it has worked really well for the past 2 years. But I kind of needed an upgrade, and I kind of needed to, you know, have something that would sound a little bit better and just kind of wider, and that if I had to send some of my work to someone that was in a studio and was using an Apollo or something by UAD, they would have that same quality of sound over there, and not something that's kind of, I would say, I mean, my only complaint with the Focusrite, besides it being bus powered, is that the sound, at least to my ears now, I feel like it's kind of as if I was talking like this, you know. I feel it's sort of like that, so sort of muted or something. So yeah, I recorded the solo in the Focusrite, and AJ actually had to do a lot of tweaking with it in the mix to make it sound like everything else that I had recorded over there, because I actually recorded the solo and a few other parts a week before. But I mean, what sticked was the solo, because everything else I actually changed over there in the studio. But yeah, so I mean, now I'm guessing and I'm hoping and I'm pretty sure that we're not gonna have to go through that trouble of, you know, having to actually edit my guitar sound or whatnot, because I'm gonna be recording it with my UAD Apollo Twin. So yeah, that's my honest review. I highly suggest it to anyone looking a better interface, and you know, it's a really great investment. If you're looking to go from something from the Focusrite, I highly recommend it. I was actually between a few different models. I actually thought about the Apollo Solo, or maybe something like the Claret by Focusrite, but ultimately I went with this because I think it's a little bit more future-proof than any of the others mentioned, because it's so up to date with everything that's going on. That's my 2 cents, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful, and guess I'll see you guys on the next one. If you did like this video, drop a like down below, comment, and subscribe if you want to support me as a small YouTuber that I am. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys on the next one.